Welcome to the Learning Cities interview series by the UNESCO Institute for Lifelong Learning. We're speaking to UNESCO learning cities around the world to find out how they're responding to COVID-19 to ensure that learning doesn't stop during this time. I'm very happy that we have with us today the Deputy Mayor of the Portuguese city of Cascais, Mr. Miguel Pinto Luz. Welcome. Mr. Pinto Luz, what's the current state in regards to the spread of COVID-19 in your city and in Portugal overall?
Thank you very much for this interview and for this opportunity. We are presently in Portugal in the mitigation phase, what the scientists and the experts mentioned as the mitigation phase. We are facing an epidemic never seen before. The numbers, although hard, we know it, give us hope, courage, the courage needed to go through this tough phase that we are facing nowadays in Cascais, but also in Portugal. Talking about Cascais, my municipality, we are trying to help everyone, from companies to families to institutions, with materials, with tests. We are buying ventilators, we are buying tests, we are buying masks, we are doing disinfection of public spaces, public buildings, all the sideways, everything is being disinfected. And I can give you the numbers of yesterday. We have more than 200 cases in my municipality. Fortunately, unfortunately, from one hand, and on the other hand, fortunately, we still just have 3 deaths, and we cannot facilitate in the future. We must act hard, fast. I always tell to my staff, our mantra should be test, and doing more tests, and we need, and this is very important to mention, we need to start right now to prepare the day after. The economy, the society cannot resist to another lockdown. So we must prepare for the day after since now.
Thank you. To keep the numbers low, education institutions are closed at the moment. How do you ensure that education continues during the pandemic?
Again, it's another huge challenge. Myself, I have 3 kids here in my living with me and with my wife. It forces each and every one of us to change mentalities, to change our daily routines, of course. It happens in education, but also it happens in all other sectors of economy, sectors of society, sectors of activity. So we must think on teleworking, teleschooling. These terms will be reality in the near future. We already are implementing it in the municipality. We have more than 3,000 employees in the municipality, and we have 2,000 working from home. Our schools are already taking advantage of technology to deliver the classes every day to the students. It is essential to ensure that students continue to learn. Of course, we can't stop that momentum. And I think there are good trends that we have seen for the last 5 or 10 years, like learning teaching code and programming to students, using technology in classes that started 10 years ago or 5 years ago. Now we are taking advantage of all those steps that we have done back then in our school system. Hardware and software is needed. New investments are needed, of course, to ensure that we are capable of tackling this new challenge that is to deliver classes to our students.
Wonderful, thank you. So you're taking advantages also of the situation in the crisis, taking education a step further to promote online learning. How do you provide health education to all citizens of your cities?
In terms of health education for adults, we are taking advantage of the same tools that we are using in schools. This new situation requires new responses, of course. And we are working together with schools because they are in the forefront of this trend of using technology. to understand the best way to support this new need that we are facing, that is to provide health education for adults. We need to explore digital learning. We need to explore MOOCs. Universities in Portugal are using MOOCs for 5 or 6 or 7 years now, and we are learning from them and using MOOCs to pass the message to the adults. We need to explore digital learning management systems, new technologies like Zoom, like Teams, like all those new tech solutions. The focus, on my view, should be to facilitate student learning and provide social care interaction during these periods of school closure and of total lockdown in societies.
To provide education during these times, a lot of partners are essential. Which partners are key to your city in providing education, and how do you coordinate them?
Schools, of course, technology companies, as I've mentioned, Microsoft, Deloitte, all those partners are very important for us. The teachers, but very important, besides the students, of course, but very important are the families. And parents are right in the core of this new trend. Why? Because students are living in houses together with the parents, and the parents must work, as I'm doing here in my office in my home, and my wife is with my kids, and we need to create new family mechanisms to work and to assure that each and every cell of the family can achieve their goals. So those are the partners that we are taking advantage of.
Perfect. So family learning is also key to the current situation. Which learnings do you take away from the current crisis situation, which might benefit also the futures of education?
The first learning is that we are more prepared than I think we would be. This is good. This is a learning that I take from this situation, that is the investments that we have done for the last 10, 15 years, that nobody was seeing that that were essential. Now we are taking advantage of those investments. I'm a tech person. My background, I'm a politician now for the last 15 years. I've taken positions in central and local government, but my background is computer science. So I'm a product of this new trend of technology, using technology. So I've implemented those investments, and now we are taking advantage of them. So one learning that we can take is that those investments were the correct investments. We were anticipating a crisis or a situation like this.
Thank you. You're part with your city of Cascais of a network of UNESCO Learning Cities with over 170 members. Do you have a final message during this COVID-19 crisis that you would like to send out to partner cities around the world?
Yes, it must be a message of hope. We must overcome, as a community, we must overcome this pandemic together. We need to use another mantra is together. We can't give up, of course. We must try to contain the risk for this day after that we are just overcoming. We must protect the elderly and the vulnerable ones, the risk groups. But in my view, we must also look after the economy. That's another thing that we must look after, because we can have a situation of more economic crisis than of this pandemic. So we must look to the economy too. And I have hope for
We must look after the economy. Now, after that, you were broken off. Could you repeat
we
that?
We must look after the economy, and I have hope that Europe and all European countries and all the countries will overcome this situation, and we'll find out new solutions for the economy to grow again. It is maybe the greatest challenge that humanity has ever faced. Globalization is at stake. We must say it with all the words, but it cannot allow the world to fail. This pandemic cannot be answered with more walls, with more barriers, with nationalisms, with extremisms. That is not the way to overcome this pandemic. The way is cooperation, the way is dialogue, the way is solidarity, the way is the conversation that we are having here today. All cities and regions together, I think that's the solution. And the final phrase would be, we will not fail. Thank you.
Thank you very much for this message of hope at the end, and for taking the time for your call for international cooperation, which is happening within the global network of learning cities. Thank you, Deputy Mayor Mr. Miguel Pinto Luz, for taking the time. Stay healthy, everyone. Goodbye.
Thank you.